Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need an extra bit of conversation.
This week we're picking up where we left off last week. Road tripping. It's the summer, right?
Yeah.
So today specifically we're going to dive into, as dads, what are some tips, tricks, and accommodations that we have made for road trips now that we have kids in the back seat. A little bit different dynamic to each and all of our road trips.
Yeah.
So, as always, this is a discussion about all things automotive between Matt and myself, but the discussion does not end here on this podcast. It continues with you, our listeners, and we truly want to hear back from you. So you can hit us up on all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let us know your tips and tricks, what you think. And going back to last week's episode, what are some great destinations to go on road trips? We really do want to hear from you. You can also go to our website and find out more about us. There's some links to get a hold of us there as well. It's gtgaragetalk.com. But this week, road tripping with kids. First off, I think we should give some detail into our kids. So
sure.
I know we've both talked about our kids on episodes past, but just to catch everyone up to speed, I've got a 2-year-old, Tucker, that we have taken several different places in his 2 years of life, including Beavers Bend, Oklahoma. That's about a 2 to 3 hour trip. Hot Springs, Arkansas. That was a little bit longer. Dallas, 2-hour trip. Houston, 4-hour trip. Galveston, 5-hour trip. Port Aransas, like 7-hour trip. So we've gone some places with Tucker. What about y'all?
I've got 2 boys, my wife and I. I have Grant, my oldest. He's 10. And he spent the first 3 years of his life on the road.
Yes, he did.
Traveling back and forth. I lived in Oklahoma City. His mom lived in Tyler at the time. So he knows all about the traveling thing. He does really well in the car. And then I have Ethan, who's 3. And he's usually good for about 4.5 hours. Which is...
That's the limit.
That's all fine and good until you're trying to go like where my parents are in Oklahoma City, that's 5 hours away, or to where Emily's folks are in the Tulsa area, which is also 5 hours away.
Yeah.
So that last half hour of the trip tends to be the most stressful of the trip.
Just get there. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
So, my wife and I kind of worked together a little bit. We put a few tips and tricks together, and I'll bounce them off of you and see your thoughts, and then we'll dig into yours a little bit. But especially, so I know I'm only a dad for 2 years, so I've still got a lot to learn as they get older, and this will change over the years. I've also mentioned in past episodes, I am a youth pastor, so I've taken multiple teenagers, who aren't my own, on very long road trips.
Very long road trips.
So, I got you there too. But anyway, some tips and tricks my wife and I have learned for traveling with a toddler, traveling with an infant, and some things that we've done just to make traveling easier.
Yeah.
The first and foremost lifesaver is planning your leaving at nap time.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure they fall asleep as soon as you hit the road is like essential, because it helps you get that first chunk, which usually, at least for us here in Tyler, Texas, sometimes the hardest part of getting anywhere is getting out of the town, because we're about 10 minutes away from the interstate once you get to the edge of town, and then you can actually get going. So you're like in the city for a while and stopping no traffic, and it never fails. I hit every single light red. Never fails.
Yep.
So leaving during nap time, making sure they fall asleep right out of the gate. That way you can get your trip off to a good start, and then just power through until they wake up. So right now in Tucker's life, we can get about 2 hours out of a nap out of him. So for us, it works out pretty good. If we're going to Dallas, it's about 2 hours away. So we just make sure we leave. He falls asleep in Tyler, wakes up in Dallas, we're good to go. But on longer trips, like when we've gone to Galveston to the beach last year with my family, got us about halfway, halfway to Houston. And so we, knowing this, searched the area halfway and found a restaurant with some activities and place to get out and stretch your legs, because that's what kids want to do. They've got all this energy that they just got to get out. And which leads us into one of the most annoying things. So in our youth, what was McDonald's famous for kids?
The play place.
The play place. You can't find many McDonald's with play places anymore. In fact, on our trip back from Galveston last year with a 1-year-old, we stopped at a McDonald's thinking we would have a play place. We checked ahead. We were traveling with dogs. They had a dog park in the back, a legit fenced-in area for dogs. And so we're like, good, checks all the boxes. We get there and we're like, where's your play place? What do you have for kids? Oh, we have the iPads at the tables.
Really?
Screen time was McDonald's solution. And I get it. Germ haven are the play places. But Chick-fil-A is still good for play places.
Well,
Like, you don't have to do the ball pit. We all know not to ask what kind of germs are in a ball pit. But it was so frustrating
That's crazy.
Their solution now is iPads and technology. It's like, no, we've got this kid who's been cooped up for 2 hours. We need to let him out and run.
Right.
So, yes, but absolutely, traveling while they sleep, essential. Especially, like you said, trying to go 5 hours. Or like when we tried to go to Port Aransas, 7 hours. Very much essential.
Yeah.
And then, like, truly planning your trip out, realizing at what time you will be in what places. Like, we found parks along the way when we realized restaurants would let us down. And so we found some city parks and let Tucker get out and play there. Adds a lot of time to your trip, but it makes the traveling way more enjoyable. Because if you're lucky, you'll wear them out and he'll at least take a little siesta after that.
Right.
So that's a good one. But here's another interesting one, and depending on your budget, you can go crazy with it or not. But it's a trick so far that has worked for us, and we're counting our blessings each and every time it continues to work for us, is getting a new and special toy for him to play with on each trip.
Right.
And that toy is not for any other use. Like, the only time he gets to see it is on road trips, and we generally hold out until we start getting desperate before we let him have it, because children's attention spans being what they are. But I remember, especially when he was 1, he had this weird giraffe rattle thing. I don't even know what it was, but it was our road trip toy, and I was like, all right, get the giraffe. And to this day, he still loves giraffes. I know it's only 1 year later, but he loves giraffes.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, new toys.
I would attest to the nap and the planning part of it. I mentioned in the last episode, we road tripped to Tennessee a couple of times. 10 hours on the road. Mm-hmm. And we left early in the morning. Not like 5 in the morning, but like 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight in the morning. And scoop Grant up, put him in the car, buckle him up, throw a blanket over him, give him his pillow, and hit the road.
Easiest traveling of the entire trip.
And so by the time he's waking up, we're at least halfway into the trip, if not 2/3 into the trip. And, everybody's getting hungry for breakfast. It's time to get out, get a snack, stretch your legs, that kind of thing. And then you've only got 3 or 4 hours left of the trip, and you're there.
Parents have done that to me on several occasions. I remember coming back from South Carolina and my cousins, and we left at pitch black outside. And my dad's been telling stories here lately about how he got lost trying to leave and stuff. This was before even MapQuest, but definitely before iPhone, GPS, and all this stuff. I didn't know I was passed out in the back.
Yeah. And the napping thing too. Just planning around that part of it. One of the other ones, and you mentioned screen time earlier with the iPads, you can get very inexpensive tablets, the Amazon Fire tablets and things like that are $20, $30, $40, and download Netflix movies and whatever else, Disney Plus now, all those types of things. put 2 or 3 movies on there, half a dozen episodes of their favorite show, download it on it, and hand them the tablet.
Yep.
I'm not a huge proponent of just using that as a babysitter kind of a thing, but I'll tell you, especially when you have 2,
yep.
and especially when they're 7 years apart like mine are, like Grant is all into the Marvel superheroes and Star Wars and those types of things. He can handle the the droids exploding and things like that a little easier than a 3-year-old Ethan can, who loves Paw Patrol. Yeah. That's his big thing right now. So when they each have their own, and one of them will put headphones in, and for at least 2 or 3 hours, they're pacified.
So my brother and I are 2 years apart. He's older than me, and we didn't have tablets when we were kids, and we had a basket of games, road trip games, and I remember there were things like I don't even know what his name is, but Mr. Doodleface. But it was the thing. You had a little magnetic pencil, and he had all the magnetic shavings, and you could grow hair on him, and give him a mustache and a beard and all that stuff. That lasted for about 10 minutes on every road trip, but we had several games like that.
Yeah.
We had Magnadoodles. We each had our own Magnadoodle. If you don't know what those are, Google it. Oh my goodness. Magnets and metal shavings were a road trip staple in the 90s, apparently. But we would draw all kinds of stuff on Magnadoodles. We'd play tic-tac-toe back and forth on them. Because, to your point about 2 in the back seat, if we did not have something to do, we were at each other's throats. And I'm pretty sure that's why when my parents bought our minivan, they got the captain's chairs. There was a big cavern in between us.
In the middle, put the armrest down,
and that's where the basket of toys went, was between us.
Nice.
And they had to make sure there were 2 of everything, because if there weren't,
of course, of course.
But that kind of goes into that whole buy a special toy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For road tripping, and that is the only occasion in which it comes out.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more special. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, I've mentioned this on previous episodes, talking about my own personal road trip experience. This is essential for anyone. Kids, no kids, whatever. If you're road tripping, bring snacks.
Yes.
That is like road trip 101.
Absolutely.
Bring tons of snacks.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to share. But plenty of snacks, toys, books, things to keep them engaged. But
what are some of your favorite road trip snacks?
So, I love them, but I only get them on road trips. Combos.
Yes.
I don't know why it's my go-to road trip snack.
But which
combos?
Which combo?
I like the pretzel and the cheese.
Absolutely.
And
no, anything else doesn't matter. That's the important
pizza one I'll throw out there every once in a while, but the cheese-filled ones are the
absolutely.
best.
Absolutely. Okay,
and
good.
Gardettos are also a go-to of mine for road trips.
Mine is sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
And I am a connoisseur of sunflower seeds. Like when the Biggs brand of sunflower seeds came out, and I would be a tremendous supporter if Biggs wanted to come on as a sponsor and provide all of our sunflower seeds for our road trips. That would be incredible.
Yes.
I will push Big sunflower seeds as much as I need to.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, no.
Not currently.
Not currently. But when the Biggs brand came out, that was a game changer for the sunflower seed industry. Everybody has stepped up their game since the Biggs brand sunflower seeds. But the flavors.
Yeah. What's your flavor?
I love the originals, and I'll always go back to an original. But the one that's got me hung up right now, and it's a Biggs flavor, it's the Taco Bell Taco Supreme sunflower seed.
Interesting.
They are amazing. Amazing. Love barbecue. Love...
Do you do the pickle?
Oh, yes. Oh,
okay.
Dill pickle?
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, dill pickle for sure. The ranch... I actually prefer the Frito-Lay ranch over... the Biggs brand ranch, but yeah, gotta have the flavors too.
So, I've said I'm a youth pastor, and I've taken several long trips on 50-passenger charter buses and stuff like that. I always disliked the person who brought sunflower seeds on those trips, because it's like, they're spitting them all the time, and then you've got to do something with it. So you'd be that person. Yeah.
Okay, all right. You'll agree with me on this one. Beef jerky.
Yes. But again, being on a 50-passenger bus, you despise the person who brings the beef jerky because it has a very pungent odor.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're the one, you don't care.
Yep.
It's good stuff. But what brand?
See, I'm real picky about my beef jerky too.
Yeah.
I found this brand when I was in Oklahoma City, and it's actually Oklahoma native. It's made in El Reno.
Okay. We have listeners there in El Reno.
It is called Hard Times.
Shout out.
Beef jerky, and it is awesome.
Really?
They have 3 or 4 different flavors. There's an original, which is my preferred, my favorite. They have a teriyaki and have a black pepper. I think they may have one other. I don't remember for sure, but those 3 for sure. But for me, like Jack Link's beef jerky is not beef jerky.
Oh, really?
No, it's not. No, like for me, and this is gonna get gross for a second. I need to add my own moisture to the beef jerky for it to be good beef jerky.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to come with its own. So, so if it doesn't like crack and crinkle when I pull it out of the package, it's not dry enough.
All right, so I don't know how we're already almost halfway through our second episode of Road Trip Discussions. Being from Texas, and we haven't brought this up yet, but Buc-ee's.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. How are you on Buc-ee's beef jerky? So, I'll help those out who are not familiar. So, Buc-ee's is a chain of the most outrageous gas station convenience store stops ever. Like, they are the size of most...
Walmart's.
Yeah, the most grocery stores.
It's huge.
But it is purely a road trip stop heaven. They pride themselves, literally pride themselves on having the cleanest restrooms. Like, it is a feature that they advertise and are known for in Texas and now Florida and Alabama.
I'm pretty sure the men's restroom in the one in Terrell is bigger than my house.
Could very well be.
It's huge.
It's huge and very clean.
And it's incredibly clean. There's a wall and a half of stalls, and then there are
5 million?
5 million urinals.
Yeah.
I don't think they could have stacked them in there any closer to each other.
And they're pre-divided, with stone dividers.
Yeah.
So for all those,
awesome.
yeah.
Go visit Buc-ee's.
And going back to road trip food, I'll stop there for kolaches, pigs in a blanket for not from Texas. But they have chopped beef barbecue sandwiches
that are really good.
Yes, beaver nuggets. So their mascot is a beaver, and so they've got this thing called beaver nuggets. I hadn't had one until the Buc-ee's opened up here in Terrell a few years ago. That has become a staple stop in between here in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Stopping at that Buc-ee's in Terrell.
It's almost a necessity. Even if you're going to, Forney or...
you gotta stop.
You're right there. You may as well pull off. Yeah.
So the first Buc-ee's I ever went to is halfway between here and Houston in Madisonville. And that's still probably the one I've gone to more often, even though I probably go to Dallas more. Anyway. Those are my 2. But like I said, they are expanding outside of Texas for the first time ever. And so people in Florida and people in, I believe, Alabama can now enjoy the wonders that is Buc-ee's on their long road trips.
Very nice.
Highly recommend it.
Definitely.
I don't know how we road tripped before Buc-ee's.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. No, Buc-ee's beef jerky is okay. There's Hard Times beef jerky, which is awesome. There's Jack Link's, which is meh. And then Buc-ee's isn't quite in the middle. It's more on the Jack Link's side to me, but it's much more tolerable than the Jack Link's jerky. So. And
another thing, not only do they have all their own branded jerky, but they have a wall of Buc-ee's branded snacks, road trip snacks, and then they've got freestanding gondolas of all the branded stuff. But like I said, they have a humongous wall of their stuff.
Yeah. Well,
it's
like
insane.
It's like 30 or 40 different beef jerky flavors that they have.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yep. So, snacks. Very much important for the kids and for you.
Most definitely. We mentioned the incredible restrooms at Buc-ee's.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect transition to the restroom stops.
Yes.
Right? So, what do you look for in a place to stop to go to the bathroom? We'll play the Have You Ever, and I have a funny story with the Have You Ever Peed on the Side of the Road.
Yes.
And I talking with a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, Mark, who has 3 daughters, and he's got family in St. Louis. They road tripped to, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, they road tripped to St. Louis last summer, I believe, and he gave the girls 3 options. There's a 1, a 2, and a 3, and you had to decide what level of needing to go to the bathroom you were. The first one being, hey, I'm letting you know I'm feeling the urge, right? 2 being, we need to find a place sooner rather than later. And 3 being, if you don't stop the van, I'm going to pee my pants, right? I loved that. When he was telling me about that, that was like light bulb going off in my head. That's a brilliant idea for anybody. Like, is it, you tell me you have to go to the bathroom. Okay, 1, 2, or 3. Well, somewhere between a 1 and a 2. Okay, all right, we can handle that, right? Or I need to pee. Okay, 1, 2, or 3. Well, I'm at a 3.5. Okay, why didn't you tell me you're at a 1
long time ago.
a half hour ago? We could have,
So, back to your question about what do I look for and all that. That answer has changed since I've gotten married.
Oh, yeah.
And changed even more since I've had a kid.
Yeah.
Luckily, we are still in diapers. We're testing the waters with the whole potty training thing. So, as far as kids go, that's one I'm going to have to file in the memory bank.
Isn't that great?
Yes, because we're definitely going to have to teach Tucker that sliding scale. But having a wife in the vehicle, there are additional things to consider that most guys don't think of when it comes to restroom stops. Because, again, worst case scenario, we're going on the side of the road.
Right.
But, so I definitely, especially when she's the one telling me she needs to stop, I look for a more reputable place. More cleanliness is high on the priority, because I don't want to be taking my wife someplace janky, nasty. Nowhere where the hover technique has to come into play. Right. So, if you don't know what that is. But, so it's changed a little. There are places that I used to stop, like, just myself, and I'm thinking of a place right now that I stop almost every single time in Buffalo, Texas, on my way to Houston, that now is less desirable to stop at because I don't want to take my wife there.
Yeah, fair enough. So, have you ever peed on the side of the road?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any funny stories about having to pee on the side of the road?
None that I can share on the podcast.
Okay. Well, I have one that we can share.
I'll have to get permission. It's a long story.
Okay. So, myself, my dad, and a great friend of ours, Junior, were coming back from, I believe, we were coming back from the campground in Scottsville.
Okay.
Probably coming back towards Tyler. And we weren't too far down the road. And I probably should have gone to the bathroom before we left, right?
You were that guy.
One of those situations. My wife tells me I'm that guy all the time. So, but I had to go. And there wasn't anything around. And I had to go. Well, I had been talking about having to go for a few minutes, and Dad was picking on me about it, and Junior was picking on me about it, and he said, Junior said something about, wouldn't it be funny if, and dadgummit,
no good story starts that way.
Almost to the T, almost verbatim what he said happened. So we pull off. There was an exit there, but nothing around. Just a highway intersection over I-20. We pull off, go over the highway that crossed I-20, and open up the front door and the back door. So I'm standing in between the doors,
right.
Trying to be halfway modest about the situation. And Junior just starts laughing. I'm relieving myself, and Junior is rolling in the van because the scenario that he had just mentioned not 5 minutes before just happened. And that was, he said, "Wouldn't it be funny, Matt, if you're out there having to pee and a van of girls pulls up off the highway and goes by us while you're peeing on the side of the road?" And dadgummit, if that exact thing did not happen, he about fell out of the van laughing at me because I'm standing there trying to do my business, and then there's this van of girls that drives by. Yeah.
Well, on that note, a word from our sponsors. And we're back. Wow. Yeah. Nope. My story's probably not that good anyway. So.
I'll ask you about it off air.
Yeah. So, road trips with kids.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
Yeah.
Back on topic. While we're still on bathroom breaks, I have not experienced this, but I've got to tell the story. I won't name names, but family does listen, so they'll know exactly who I'm talking about.
Uh-oh.
Again, I didn't experience it, but apparently a certain family member of mine was notorious for waiting until it was 3.5 to go, and would bring it up like it was just normal conversation, and at the worst possible time. So I'm always cognizant now, especially, like I said, being a youth pastor and having multiple ladders back behind me, knowing the route that I'm on and knowing to announce when, okay, we're coming up on last stop for 30 minutes, even if you don't think you have to. Who's got it? Otherwise, we're going to keep on trucking. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think as a driver, that's like a constant conversation you have to have. Like, if you see a sign for something coming up, you announce it, make it known to the whole vehicle. But we'll continue on. So, music. We are smack dab in Baby Shark territory in our household.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And all that comes with. So, I think the actual, like, current popular Baby Shark is Pink Fong, or somebody like that is the artist. Yeah, you're giving me a weird look. We've recently discovered on YouTube, and they have on Apple Music and Amazon Music and all the other platforms, apparently just all their songs, but Little Baby Bum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so there is a lot of Little Baby Bum being played on long road trips for us. And again, that's one of those things. It's kind of a last resort. It's mom and daddy's choice of music.
Right.
Until we've tried everything else before screen time. Let's put on some Lil Baby Bum, and it's he's gotten to the point now where he knows the songs. He even so there's one song about let's go to the zoo, and they do like the lion roars, and he'll roar with the lion and stuff like that. It's actually kind of cute. And
That's fun.
But the songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much a last resort. But also, as they get older, letting them pick the songs. Like I said, Tucker is becoming more and more aware of different songs. That it's not all just Little Baby Bum, and so he'll tell us particular songs he wants to listen to that will appease him for a period of time. So music, key neutralizer.
Oh yeah.
So
both of my boys love music. And it's great to see and to hear. As a worship pastor, I listen to a lot of worship music, and so my boys pick up on that. And so to have my boys ask for songs, one of Ethan's favorite right now. I ran out of that grave. Yeah. I want to run out of that grave. Glorious Day is the title of that song, and he loves that song, and he sings out on that song. And Grant has. I just lost it. Echo. From Elevation Worship. Grant loves rocking out to that song. So
it's funny that you bring that up. So I didn't bring it up in our episode about road trip music and playlists and all that stuff, driving music. But there's a good road trip memory I have with one of my friends from work. Her name's Q. It was back when we were both single. We're both married now with families. But back when we were both single, we were going down to Houston actually it was Galveston and Houston. We went down to Galveston first, spent a little time on the beach, then went to Astros game. We were tired. We were a little worn. That's shout out to 10th Avenue North, one of my favorite bands. But we had been through it, and so for her road trip essentials, she brought an adult coloring book, and so she was coloring through that, and I just put on an awesome worship playlist that I had been working on, and we just jammed out to it. And I kid you not, by the time we got through Buffalo, we were just bawling. And it was just one of those awesome experiences. So, we've talked about rock, classic rock, we've talked about country music, we've talked about all kinds of stuff on our road trip and driving music, but it never hurts just to drive and crank up that worship music sometimes. And, music.
What else you got?
Last one that we've really used for Tucker, we're kind of ramping up into it. We use them more at home than we do in the car, but we're getting their flashcards.
Okay.
So we've got all kinds of flashcards. We're learning animals, we're learning shapes, we're learning colors.
Cool.
But his little brain is a sponge right now.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of putting a screen in front of him, let's give him flashcards, and we'll quiz him. Because we've got a mirror, we can see him. We've still got him mirror facing because it's safer. And Shorty that he is, he can ride backwards for a little bit longer. So we'll quiz him on stuff, what sounds they make, what colors, all this stuff, and we'll tell him to pick out certain animals and certain shapes and certain colors and stuff like that. So just making sure we're taking full advantage of some time to teach and expand and grow his sponge of a brain. And as he gets older, math flashcards, science flashcards, all kinds of stuff like that. So never pass up a good opportunity to teach and to learn. So
that's cool.
That's a good one. And then this one is more from my youth pastor, because like I said, Tucker isn't old enough for it yet. I'll even do it with my wife. But road trip games, like the quintessential road trip games. So the license plate game.
Yep.
And it turns out depending on who you ask, there are different rules for that game. So some people hit. That's me. I'm in hitting camp. I grew up with an older brother. Everything was a hitting game.
Fair enough.
So you hit somebody for an out-of-state plate, but when you hit them for the out-of-state plate, that state is out of play. Yeah. And if you cross over the border and current in-state plates become out-of-state plates, fair game. So the border, you better be watching. Slug bug, also a hitting game. Then one I did not learn, and this may just be a family game that the family shared with me and is now a game for me. I don't know. Yellow card. Are you familiar? Mm-hmm. Have you ever played? So very well could be a family game that I have now inherited and adopted and sharing with you. Very much like Slug Bug, but yellow car. So anytime you see a yellow car, you shout it out and punch somebody. Again, they're all hitting games.
Sure.
You can adapt them to be not hitting games if that's what your family or group desires. But like I said, I grew up with an older brother. Everything's a hitting game. And so you wouldn't believe how many yellow cards there are out there. It is one of the more rare colors. We've already talked about how there aren't many colors in cars. Yellow cars stand out, so they're easy to find, and they're rare enough, but also frequent enough that it makes for a fun game. So
I'm pretty used to yellow cars. I work with 56 40-foot long yellow cars buses every day. So a couple of games, and they can be played however you want to, kind of like the license plate game, but you do it out through the alphabet. So words that start with the letter of the alphabet that you're on, stuff on signs on the sides of cars, things like that.
So do you have to see the words written out?
You have to see the word.
I was going to say, because that's how we play it.
Right.
You've got to see the word.
And so you can play it where you just find the letter in the word, or you can play it that the word has to start with that letter, which gets really fun when you're, X, Y, and Z. And
railroad crossings, maybe.
Well, yeah. The other one is like you pick an environment. So like things you would find at the mall, or things you would find on the beach, and you go through the alphabet and you go around the car, and each person has to think of an item that would start with that letter of the alphabet that you would find at the beach.
So not necessarily anything around you.
Right.
That's
Just
more or less when you're going through the desolation that is middle of Oklahoma.
right.
Okay.
Or West Texas.
Yeah. True.
So
having done that
yeah.
section of Texas, yeah, I can attest to that. There's always the classic Mad Libs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great one, especially the more people you have. So it's a staple of youth group trips for me. We've got it on the iPad, so you can actually save them and then redo the same story
Nice.
over and over. The best one yet created a phrase that to this day we still use. Toilet humor, be warned. So I believe the story was about road tripping, and I don't know, like, if you're doing it on an iPad, you can't cheat. You can't, like, see what the story is and put stuff in to make it even funnier, which 9 times out of 10, it's almost like you're trying too hard at that point.
Right.
The randomness is where it's really fun. So if you're playing on the iPad, you can't cheat. You're just filling in exactly what they ask for, adverb, adjective, verb, all that good stuff.
Nice.
And the story in question was the kid complaining to his mom that they needed to stop for food. He was so hungry or ate so much food that he could choke a toilet. So now on youth trips, when you really gotta drop a big deuce,
right.
I gotta go so bad I could choke a toilet. Bring a plunger.
Oh, that's too funny.
So yes, to this day, we use choking a toilet as a measure of how bad it is.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, so those are my tips and tricks for road trips with kids, with others, with a big group. I'm sure there are more that we're leaving off. Do you have any that we haven't gotten to yet?
I think I've covered most of what's on my list.
Yeah, so I'm sure there are many, many more games out there, as well as different tips and tricks. And if you want to share them with us, and share them with the Garage Talk community, all the gearheads out there, we would love to do that. You can hit us up on all of our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk. And you can even go to our website, gtgaragetalk.com. There's forms you can fill out that send us an email. There are emails there. You can send us an email that way. But you can let us know some of your road trip tips and tricks, some of your life hacks, parenting hacks, and some of your road trip games. Those will be fun. So Yellow Car apparently was one I picked up from a family. What are some other family road trip games that you, our listeners, can share with us, and we can share with the gearhead?
Or even variants of games. Yes. So the same game but played a little differently, or different rules or whatever.
We cannot wait to hear back from you on this one. It will be a fun one.
Definitely.
But until next time, bye.